amigos, and welcome back to Super Amigo Squad. It's another session of Rio's Rants. Today, we're going to be talking about something rather recent.
Hey, you mad, bro? You mad?
My entire life has led up to this moment. Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. Okay, there's going to be a lot of mixed reviews on it, but a lot of the mixed reviews are generally from the populace who don't know as much about comic books. Whereas DC movies are really easy to complain about is because they've had some hit or miss recently that they're always being compared to Marvel movies. It's very easy to find fault with it. It was literally like Green Lantern happened, and then from there it just tanked where everyone complained about no matter what movie that they were doing. Like this certain thing. Dawn of Justice, I actually enjoyed it. If I had to give it anything out of a 10, I'd give it about a 7. Because I, as a comic book nerd, I know what was going on. So, forewarning before we get into this, you're going to hear me get really, really angry, but you're also going to hear a lot of spoilers. So if you don't want the spoilers, scootaloo, guys. Come on. So, Dawn of Justice, a lot of people were complaining about is, okay, number one, the Batman versus Superman actual scene. The actual fight scene, everyone was a little frustrated that it didn't last longer than 5 minutes. And that it took a lot for them to build up to get into that fight. And people were complaining because going to see a superhero movie, a lot more things that they wanted was action. Whereas this was not that type of movie. This was a type of movie that needed that kind of build up because Batman and Superman are not two heroes who are going to duke it out unless they have to. Whereas Batman, they did an excellent job starting with that. Let me just say, if y'all haven't seen it yet, if y'all have seen Man of Steel, that building that Zod lasers in half, they start really at that scene at Batman vs. Superman, where, except it's from Bruce's point of view, so he's running around on the ground, can't be the Batman, it's broad daylight in Metropolis, so he's just trying to wonder what the hell is going on like the rest of humanity when he's calling the Wayne building, trying to get people evacuated. That building Zod lasered in half was the Wayne building. So understandably, he's very upset. Ben Affleck, who a lot of people were giving trouble for this part, did an amazing job of portraying a Batman who had to be so self-conflicted. Those were all people he knew, and they had died on Superman's watch, whereas he was still stuck, not knowing anything about Superman and the god complex that the rest of humanity was. Whereas, well, if he is such a god, why are these people dying? If he has all this power, how is he not preventing this? Is he choosing to let these people die? And if the possibility is that who tells Superman no? So the anxiety of that built up with all the people in the Wayne building that had died, he had no clue what he was up against. So of course, someone like Batman, who was Batman and was still powerless to save all those people, of course he's going to be upset. So Ben Affleck did a really good job of portraying Batman, who is so self-conflicted. He was grieving, but at the same time, if there are people like this, if there are heroes like this who want to be heroes, who have this kind of power, then how come good people like my parents died? And a lot of people were very upset that the movie did start with a little bit of the Batman background. It's because it's going off of Man of Steel onward, not the Dark Knight trilogy. So they wanted to set that up and be like, this is what we're doing, this is where it is, this is the end of the Batman issue. A lot of people get really upset. It's just because there's so many remake Batman movies, of course they're going to keep telling you the same story over and over. Whereas you keep watching Batman movies, so of course they're going to recap his parents' death. That is his thing. That is why he's Batman. A lot of people were also complaining about Batman's dream sequence. A lot of people were really confused because it started off as a dream where it was a worst case scenario if Superman took over. Whereas it gradually, you notice when it gradually shifted when there were these alien creatures landing. To me, I instinctually, as a comic book fan, I saw wings. I was like, oh, is it the Reach? And then after a moment when they landed, I'm like, those are parademons. This is Darkseid. For those of you who don't know, Darkseid is one of the biggest DC villains. He is the king of new gods of apocalypse, which are gods of anti-life, death, war, torture, anything you can think of that is just on the bad side of the spectrum. He lives for that. His whole, in the New 52 comics, I love the way they explain it. His whole grudge against the Justice League and such. So for him, there was a new god, young one, known as Kaio the Trickster. she laughed at him, which is something that is an offense he doesn't take lightly. Well, she has the ability to travel between worlds. So he created the Mother Box, which allows him to travel between worlds and harness New Genesis and Apocalypse technology. He created that just so he could chase her through dimensions and kill her for laughing at him, slaughtering any Justice League that stood in his way. That is how petty he is. And Kaio determined to find a Justice League that could give him pause. That's where the New 52 Justice League came in. If you want a little more on that, watch Justice League War. That's a really good example. Kaio's not in it, but that's the Justice League versus Darkseid fight itself. It's a little upsetting because the comics have Aquaman, but I'm not going to get into that. It's a different story for a different time. Back to what we were talking about, the movie. A little frustrated that they did put Wonder Woman's background set when they opened Lex Luthor's files, that photo of her and Steve Trevor being played by Chris Pine. Gonna be great. Is from 1918, which is a little frustrating for me because she's saying, well, she gave up on the world of man 100 years ago, and that's why she was running away from the situation. The Diana Prince we all know and love would never run from a fight like that, which is why I'm glad that she turned around in the first place, but she's one of the first time people who would be on that front line the second that there was a fight. Not waiting until, oh, Doomsday is here, I guess I'll go stop him because I don't want to feel like an asshole. It's purely upsetting. Whereas the background for that, I hate the idea that it's going to be in 1918 because the whole point of Steve Trevor meeting Wonder Woman was teaching her that in modern day, women have jobs, women have this, women have that. I'm not going to get into the whole feminist rant. A lot of people are going to argue with me about this, but I don't care. We are considered equals nowadays. We do everything we can. We have jobs. We have our own families. We can be single parents. Nobody gives a crap. You can be a hugger. No one cares. But to Diana, who is raised by Amazon, who are so anti-man, it was supposed to be her meeting Steve Trevor and him teaching her the world is not so bad. It's not perfect, but neither were the Amazons. So I'm a little frustrated with the time setting we're going to have for a 1918 movie of that, because that's back when women's rights were not just a big thing, so I don't want it to seem like she's the reason why we have more women's rights, but instead of what it's supposed to be, whereas she's learning that shit is not as bad as she was told, and she needs to give people a chance. Whereas, that was a little more frustrating to me. Gal Gadot, a lot of people give her trouble. I did want a more muscular Wonder Woman, but I think she did an amazing job with the part she was given. Back on the dream sequence thing, at the end of that dream sequence of Batman, where there's someone reaching out to him, that would be kind of a little bit of foreshadowing. That's kind of a premonition. It's reaching out to him from Giant Portal. Those of you who have read some of Cyborg's background, generally in several versions of it, the tech that rebuilt him, which if you were paying attention to the clips of Lex Luthor's files, when he was just literally half a torso, how there was a time difference in the timestamps of the video with his dad, and all of a sudden there's this box that rebuilt him. That was a mother box. But where did he get the mother box? That's a really big question. So the one person who could actually open a boom tube or do that kind of manipulation would be Cyborg. And even after a lot of people who said they weren't getting that sequence, even at the end when Batman tells Wonder Woman, when Wonder Woman asks, why do you think we'll need to fight? And he says, just a feeling I have. And Luthor even admits, because it's classic Luthor 101, immediately after introduction, he's selling humanity out for someone else. Or he's selling Superman out for someone else. Whereas New 52, it's selling Superman out for Brainiac, thinking that's going to spare him. And of course that didn't work. In this case, and I know exactly how Luthor's going to get out of jail, he's killing Superman and Batman, considering world's greatest heroes, because by this point, no doubt Darkseid has already run into one version of them or the other. He's trying to get rid of those greatest heroes in order to... He's going to say that he did it to spare humanity, to get rid of them. It's how Luthor's going to get himself out of jail. I can just see it now. So basically, even when that interrogation right after he says that I've got a bad feeling, Luthor admits that he said that, because the whole movie he's saying that devils come from the sky. Boom tubes open in the sky, parademons start pouring out. It's common sense. For a lot of people who haven't read comic books, it's still explaining it, but it's a foreshadowing, and a lot of people were unappreciative of it. It's like at the end of a Marvel movie, where there's that extra scene after the credits, where the fans who know what's going on are cheering, and then the fans who don't know what's going on are still cheering, because they're like, this looks exciting, we got something to look forward to. So all I'm saying is that we have a lot to look forward to in the Justice League movie. They gave us a bit of a Jason Momoa clip, which was my favorite part of the movie, of him being Aquaman, because Jason Momoa has come a long way between a lot of different shows, especially coming from Game of Thrones right into this role. I'm interested to see what he does with it. Just saying, like I said, so Darkseid seemed to be the setup for our villain for Justice League, so I'm excited to see it. I'm also curious to hear what your thoughts are on it. A lot of you will argue with me. I think they did a really good job. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If y'all have anything else you want to hear me rant about, because I'm a very opinionated person, let's hear it. Put that in the comments below as well. So, the little forewarning, the next one we're going to be doing is on Harley Quinn, because Suicide Squad's coming up, so prepare to hear a lot of stuff you don't want to hear. So that'll be the end of this. Thank you so much for joining us. To be continued in the next episode. Bye-bye.
And subscribe.
And subscribe. And subscribe!